All right, I am so excited to finally meet you in person. We've been chatting forever. Who are you?
I'm Catalina Lauf. I'm running for Congress as a Republican in Illinois 14.
Now, Catalina, you sort of broke the internet recently when we featured you on Law Enforcement Today, and everybody started calling you sort of the anti-AOC. But I want to talk a little bit about you and your support for law enforcement, because that's obviously who this big community is. So give me a little bit about your background.
Absolutely. So I was born and raised in Woodstock, Illinois, so the heart of the 14th District, and really grew up in a district that loves America. We have hard work. We have just everyday American values, very Midwestern. And a lot of that also translates to the law enforcement community, the first responders. I grew up with a lot of friends who had parents that were firefighters and policemen, and I have a lot of personal friends on that. So just a sense of community that's very almost Mayberry-esque, and I love that. I love that I grew up in that type of environment.
Now, you come from a family of immigrants, right?
Yes, yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your background there.
Sure. My mother was born and raised in Guatemala. She immigrated here legally in the 1980s. So we support legal immigration, and actually a big part of my platform is immigration reform. And I saw how terrible, when you look at the media and how they vilify law enforcement down at the border, it's just so sick what's happening.
So let's talk a little bit about what's happening in America right now
Yeah.
with law enforcement. You see attacks on cops all over the place. You see the suicide rate starting to rise faster than ever before. When you see some of these statistics, what goes through your mind?
It's disgusting to me that we have people on a national scale, and especially elected leaders. The woman who I'm looking to unseat, Lauren Underwood, came in and talked about just that at the border, these law enforcement officials on the House floor, she talked about how they were killing children on purpose. I mean, that type of rhetoric on a national scale, you see things that are happening in New York City, that culture war against law enforcement is disgusting to me. It needs to stop, because you guys have a job to do. And the more that first of all, there aren't facts that are there, right? I mean, when you have a situation where, God forbid, somebody does get killed and they're not getting the full story, right? The media is not telling the full story. And everybody looks for somebody to blame. And it's sad to me when elected officials play into that narrative, because you should be a leader. You should be supporting. In a district like mine, we have law enforcement. That's a constituent of her. And you should be speaking on an American, for all Americans. And when you play this race pandering, this pointing fingers, we're in a really sad point in our country where it's heading that way. And we need to go back to respecting all people and respecting the job that you do, and how their words affect families, how their words affect you guys every day. God forbid, if a situation does happen where somebody does die, it impacts a community. And we need to change that narrative.
So when you see an event like what's going on here with this event honoring those who were killed in the line of duty, providing support and resources for families and departments, why do you think it's so important to have events like that?
It gives you all a sense of community. It gives everybody a sense of community. I think it's important for the families. I think it's the same with the veteran community. We should be coming together as people and understanding that lives are very, very much affected, and having a support system. And I think that's what's great about different organizations that do that too, because think about cops, 40 years ago, or veterans 40 years ago. Think about how much social media, first of all, allows for organizations to have all of that support, but also gaining just so much visibility so that there is a sense of community out there. So people do feel connected when, God forbid, a tragedy happens, or everyday issues that you guys see, and how that translates to PTSD and things like that. So I think it's important to have that human connection, and organizations and events like that really allow that to come out.
Awesome. What's next for you? What's coming up?
Or winning a primary and then winning a general election.
Awesome. If people want to learn more about you and your platform, where can they go?
Head to catalinaforcongress.com.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Perfect. Well,
thank
nice
you.
finally meeting you.
Nice to meet you too.
Guys, thanks all for watching. Thanks for hitting that share button. God bless America.